So maybe you can tell us about the history, how it started, why it started with hi-fi, what was the idea behind,
That's a good question. I mean, 20 years ago, I was sort of making similar products. Obviously, made in the UK is important to us. Good engineering, longevity of product. Fortunately, I am, so that was quite easy. But the average customer just needs to.
How do you think will the future look like for the hi-fi and high-end business? So
it's a new team. It's a new product, with the 40 series, the 80 series.
Later,
Okay, let's do it.
So we are here at the high-end in Munich, and with me is Nick from Cyrus.
That's correct, yeah. Nick Clarke, MD of Cyrus.
Welcome to
Thank
Munich.
you.
Welcome to the high-end. And we'd like to know something or more about Cyrus. Cyrus is quite long existing company since 40 years, so I think it's quite well known. But we'd like to get some more information about Cyrus. So maybe you can tell us about the history, how it started, why it started with hi-fi, what was the idea behind.
Sure, yeah, as you say, it's 40 years, actually 41 now. Last year was our 40th anniversary. It was originally started out of Mission, who made speakers at the time, as an electronics brand to go along with their speaker ranges. So hence often a lot of people still refer to it as Mission Cyrus, which it's not been that company for a long time. But in 1993 it was spun off as a separate company. It's still privately owned and based in the UK. We still do all our manufacturing in the UK. So looking forward to the next 40 years.
Mm-hmm. And what is the difference between nowadays and let's say 20 years ago in the hi-fi industry? So what are the major changes that you realized, and what do you think what is important right now?
That's a good question. I mean, 20 years ago, I was sort of making similar products, amplifiers, CD players, but the numbers were a lot higher. There was a lot more people into hi-fi. I think there's a lot fewer people into hi-fi these days, which is unfortunate. But you've got to be, I think, a lot more focused and clear about what your products are these days. You've got to have a very good idea of what you're doing, what the direction is that your company is taking, and what your company stands for. In the case of Cyrus, that's obviously made in the UK is important to us. Good engineering, longevity of product, and with our history, we still service 40-year-old products. And just generally, we feel value for money for the customer.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think about new technologies? Streaming is not so new, but it's still growing market. But there is also the analog market, which is also still stable and growing. How do you feel about, or how do you think to combine these two totally different ways of listening to music?
It's got to be, I think, ease of use for the customer. So streaming, as you say, when that first started coming onto the scene, you had to be a network engineer to get your product to work. Fortunately, I am, so that was quite easy. But the average customer just needs to turn the product on, connect it with an app and go. And if it's more complex like that, they don't want to handle it. They don't want to work with it. So it's got to be convenient. People expect it to be easy to set up and easy to use. The second part of your question, how do you combine it? Well, Cyrus is a brand. We don't like to get into that streaming, CD, vinyl debate. We just try to do the best we can for all of those sources. And then you as the end customer, how you want to listen to your music is up to you. So, we obviously have a streaming product, a CD player product, a turntable and a phono preamplifier product. So, we try to, like I say, just do the best we can with whichever source you're using. And, maybe I'm of a certain age, but I still feel, streaming, I love streaming because it's convenient. You can just tap through, select different artists, whatever your mood is. But there's still something about that tangible physical connection that you have with an LP or a CD.
Something to touch.
And feel. And for me, whilst you have the artwork on your product when you're streaming, nothing beats that 12-inch gatefold artwork. I love it. Sunday morning, I also like, you put on a piece of vinyl, you're forced to sit there and listen for 20 minutes. There's no tapping or an email comes in while you're listening. You can just enjoy the music.
And how do you think will the future look like for the hi-fi and high-end business? So regarding the technologies, regarding the customers, regarding the sales. So what will change in the future? What do you think? And what will be important for you as an company to still exist and to grow?
I think what will be important for us to exist and grow as a company is for people to start to appreciate that high-end audio isn't that image of the slightly weird person sitting on their own listening to music. Everybody can enjoy, high-quality audio. I have no end of people who say to me, "Oh, yeah, I get what you're doing, but my ears aren't good enough. I can't hear the difference." That's not true. Everybody can hear the difference and appreciate the difference. So it's getting that knowledge out there that high-end audio is the same as a high-quality watch or a high-quality car or any other premium product. It's anyone can enjoy it. You don't have to be an audiophile, if you like. In terms of the future of technologies, it's no doubt that streaming is here to stay in a big way. I don't see any I can't see of any developments in the physical media. So it's more just making the products much more easy to use, possibly even improvements in the way that the algorithms select what music you might listen to next. Some AI that can detect how I'm playing my music, what mood am I in that day, and bending the playlist appropriately. Which I think that's quite exciting. You can tell the streaming services have access to all the same catalogue, but you can see that some are better than others at selecting content that they serve to you. So,
and what is the secret to stay also in the streaming business, also with the reliable product? So what is your secret behind that?
well, the secret is there isn't a secret, I guess. It's just attention to detail and having a very customer focused attitude. I've been with Cyrus 3 years, and in that time, we've hugely improved the reliability and the returns rates of the products. We are industry leading in the quality of our products now. I think that also goes along with the convenience.
Yes.
Customers not only want a convenient product to use, they want a reliable product to use. Gone are the days, if you use a car analogy, that you might have had a sports car that was in the shop 3 months of the year. When it worked, it was sublime, but it was still in the shop 3 months of the year. People won't stand for that now. So, and the same is true of hi-fi.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. So, but do you see any challenges in the future? We now have some challenges because world is changing and so on. But any other challenges that you see in the future?
Well, there are many external factors, we can't control. Some of the moves we're seeing against globalization could have an impact on our business and where we source our products from. Although we manufacture in the UK, like everybody, we source electronic parts from the Far East because that's where they're made.
Yes.
If some of those fabs came back where the chips are made to Europe or America, that might actually make our lives easier. So there could be some positives to it. Or
Yes. Then I think, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us? So what do you think is important to know about Cyrus? Anything else? Maybe some new products or new upcoming things that are quite interesting to know?
Well, of course, here in Munich, high-end in 2025, we're showing off our new 80 series, which is the first full-width range from Cyrus. But also, the Cyrus is a brand. As I say, I've been with the brand 3 years now. We have a new sales team. Our sales manager, Alex Empson, has been with us a year. We've just taken on another chap, Fabian Bassot, who's, again, very well known and respected in the industry. It's a new team. It's a new product, with the 40 series, the 80 series, things that are going to come later. It's a completely new approach for the company. I mean, we call it a new beginning. The company's been around 40 years. It needed that new beginning, and even, we continue to evolve that new beginning.
But they still have the fingerprint of Cyrus, so it's not a completely new
Oh,
product.
no,
it's still fingerprint visible.
Very much the DNA of Cyrus is still there from, the very first Cyrus one to the product today. That DNA is still there, but, we've applied, some modern approaches to it. For example, the old products used a casting, which is very difficult to obtain these days. We've moved over to extruded aluminium, which we then hard anodize. So it's much more durable. It's much more easy to work with.
Excellent.
Okay.
Then, Nick, thank you very much for your time and
Brilliant,
for the excellent information. And then wish you good luck and
thank you very much.
And good success.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.